got hacked Friday morning, caught it. It
Mhm.
spent right around $22,000.
Jared Williams.
What's up, man?
Hey, dude.
I couldn't even tell it started.
I know. All I saw was your face after you coughed, and
Yeah,
it was something like that. That's
it
what made me
wasn't a cough.
laugh.
I had to clear my throat.
That's an important thing to do these days.
You know, my wife worked for a guy he owned a excavation business,
Mhm.
and she answered his phones and like got the customer's information, and then the
Mhm.
owner would call them back and figure out the work and stuff. But
Mhm.
he would actually go out and work all day, and so she would just take the information like an answering machine, but not an answering machine, right?
Yeah, sure.
And then he would come home at the end of the day or sometimes in the middle of the day and then just return all the phone calls,
Interesting.
which
So
is a
she would just
funny
be
way
like,
to.
she just take a message essentially. She'd just be like, "Oh, let me just take a message, and he'll call you back."
Yeah, she would solve things that she could solve, but like the
Right.
whole business was just paper, so there wasn't a whole lot she could do.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
but she could like they didn't have his number direct, but she could reach out to him if there was a problem or something and be
Mhm.
like, "Hey, this
Mhm.
customer called, blah 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 blah. What do you
Mhm.
want me to do?" Or that
Mhm.
kind of stuff. But the guy, actually a real sad story. He ended up getting married, finally
Mhm.
found a woman. He was in his, I want to say he was like 50, late 40s, early 50s. He ended up getting married and they took a helicopter from their wedding to go get wedding photos on this mountain, ended up crashing and his
Oh
wife died.
wow.
Yeah.
But he lived. His wife died.
He lived, his wife died.
Dude,
And
yeah, that's rough.
yeah, super rough. And so my wife, she would, when she was working for him, it was before, he got married and his wife died. And he would always have to clear his throat
Mm.
constantly, which I do all the time too. And I don't know why. Maybe I don't talk enough. I
Yeah.
wonder if
Well,
that's.
now we're talking about it, and now I need to clear my throat because
Yeah,
we're talking about
I know. I was
it.
thinking the same thing.
Well, I brought it up, so you can clear your throat now. It's okay.
Okay, thanks. Uh, anyway, back to the story. She would come home and she'd be like, "Man, he is constantly clearing his throat. I feel like
Mm.
something's wrong." Turns out, like a couple of years after his wife died in a helicopter crash, he dies
Mhm.
of throat cancer.
Oh snap! Now we're all
Yeah,
worried.
yeah. So
Dang.
yeah, pretty crazy story actually. I knew the guy for like 3 years, and then his wife died, and he died, and I was like, holy
Hmm.
holy moly, this guy had a short
Huh.
life. Um, but every time I clear my throat, that's what I think. That's what I think about.
In the back of your head, it just filters up like, oh yeah, you might have,
Oh,
throat
yeah.
cancer.
Am I getting
Dang.
cancer? Am I
Should I
gonna
WebMD this?
am I gonna
Oh
die in a
man.
few years?
Can ChatGPT cure this? Oh man, I better ask.
Dude, ChatGPT is pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
Pretty cool. Been using it quite
Costin
a bit.
Costin was telling me about this thing that you can jailbreak it to make it break its own patterns.
Oh,
And
really?
so, yeah, you can give it commands and then it can write you like malware and viruses. Like
Oh,
you
wow.
can like act as this thing. So you can like look up a website or something. You can act as a different thing. You can input a command, and then Chat GPT will take away its like ethical filters. And then you're
Mhm.
like, write me a program to steal people's credit cards. And Chat GPT's like, here you go. And you're like, oh, cool, thanks. Just like,
Oh,
whoa,
nice.
dang,
Dude,
man,
that's probably what happened to my Facebook account.
yeah. What
Yeah.
happened to your Facebook account?
Facebook account got hacked on, I think, Friday. It
Mm-hmm.
got hacked Friday morning, caught it. It
Mm-hmm.
spent, uh, right around $22,000 in a matter of
Dude,
like
that's
6
crazy.
hours.
Wow.
Yeah, so they go in, they make like, I was running ads on Facebook. They get
Mm-hmm.
access to your ad account, and then
Mm-hmm.
they basically clone one of your ads,
Mm-hmm.
so it's named
Mm-hmm.
the same thing as one of your ads that's already in
Sure.
there, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
running like 30 ads, so I
Right.
would never notice.
Right.
But then they go in and it's like completely cloned all the way in until the final ad set. So like third thing, they
Mm-hmm.
change the
Mm-hmm.
picture and the stuff, and then they put these rules on it. And they're selling a $60 item like dog toy. And basically what they
Right.
do is they run ads on your credit card because your credit card is
Mm-hmm.
tied to your ad account,
Mm-hmm.
and get people to buy this thing, and then they don't ship it to them. So they sold
Mm.
like $2,000 worth of product
Right.
off of my $20,000 in ad spend. So
Man.
they spent 20 grand of my money, made 2 grand for themselves.
I mean, sounds like they
But
made $2,000 on top.
yeah, so what's crazy, so long story short, got a hold of Facebook. Facebook is like, "Yep, we got it taken care of. They're kicked out, shut down." And I'm like, "Cool." Wake up Saturday morning, Saturday midday, another 20 grand gone.
Oh, jeez.
I was like, "What in the heck?" Turns
Huh.
out Facebook didn't do what they said they were gonna do, and
Oh,
they
wow.
actually reset some stuff.
Mhm.
And the hackers must know they're gonna do this because they had a rule in my account they created in my account
Mhm.
that if this certain thing happened, it turns the ad set back on and starts
Hmm.
billing my credit card again. And so Facebook actually
Dang.
made that happen. And
Wow.
so,
So
and
oh,
then,
wow.
so then you go in and talk to Facebook again, and they shut it down, but then you can't actually go deactivate the rule. So
Huh.
actually, there was a third time where I got billed another few thousand
Because
dollars.
that because that rule was still there, even though
Yeah,
Facebook took,
yeah,
like, mitigating like, they did something to mitigate it,
yeah,
but what they did just triggered an event
yep.
that allowed it to open up again.
So in a 48-hour period, I think I spent $54,000
Dang.
on these other people's Facebook ads.
Man, and you're not gonna get any leads from that, are you?
None. I didn't get a penny for it.
Man,
Yeah.
dang. So, how do you, like, I mean, as a plumbing business owner, if you're running ads using Facebook, like, how do you
Yeah.
protect against this?
So the way to do it on, whoever's running your Facebook ads, like I
Mhm.
own my own ad account. So if like anybody who has access to your ad account with your credit card
Mhm.
on it, if
Mhm.
any of their accounts get hacked, they can get access to your ad account,
Gotcha.
right?
Mhm.
So then you can go in and take measures to, turn it off and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And I think it's just more of just being aware of it. And Facebook's
Mm.
going to refund the money. And
Mhm.
normally what happens, like most people don't spend as much on Facebook as I do. Like how much are we spending
Mhm.
on Facebook? How much does Prospector spend?
Prospector spends what do you got? $2,500 a month.
That's just on that. And then I probably spend another
Yeah, you have
5 grand
additional
on
stuff
other stuff. Yeah.
for your other
So,
ads.
so I'm probably spending like 7 grand a month. Right.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and so my credit card company is used to charges from Facebook.
Right.
So when this company just started, and I've done ads where I've spent a couple $1,000s in just a few days, right?
Mhm.
So my
Mhm.
credit card company didn't really think anything of it.
Yep.
Normally, what'll happen is your credit card company will go, "Hmm, this
Yeah.
seems
This is
fishy," and
weird.
they'll
This is
shut
weird.
it off. And then
Mhm.
Facebook will shut down your ad account, and that's really the best thing that can happen.
Mhm.
Because Facebook will shut it down. You'll get notified. Then you can go in and look at all your stuff and go, or your marketing agency could go in and look at it and
Mhm.
go, there's a problem here. Like
Mhm.
somebody hacked somewhere, they got in. Then you can contact Facebook. You can say, hey, we need to get this person out.
Mhm.
You can have everybody change their passwords, two-factor
Mhm.
authentication.
Which
That's
two
another
factor?
that's another thing you need to do.
Yeah, for
You need
sure.
you need to use two-factor authentication on
Do
all your
you,
yeah.
is there like a, because I know there's multiple forms, like you can get a voice call, you can get a text message, like what, in your opinion, is like the most solid in your
You
experience?
need you need to use the like some sort of authenticator app,
Mhm.
right? Because
Mhm.
I've heard of people, and it's probably not that big of a deal until I mean, so like typical plumbing company, they're spending $1,000, $2,000
Mhm.
on Facebook,
Mhm.
and somebody hacks their account and spends 3 or 4 grand, and you're running a healthy company, and Facebook shuts your ad account down
Mhm.
because your credit card gets shut down. That's
Mhm.
not that big of a deal. And your credit card
Mhm.
doesn't get shut down; it just blocks Facebook, right?
Right. Yeah, credit
And
card's
so
still good to go.
we're not paying Facebook anymore, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, so then maybe you have to pay that 2 or 3 grand and wait a week for Facebook to reimburse you.
Sure.
Not that big of a deal.
Right.
Even in my case, spent $54,000. I have plenty of money in the bank. I can pay off my credit card, wait for Facebook to reimburse me. It's not the end of
Right.
the world,
Sure.
right?
Mhm.
For somebody who, you know, somebody early on in their business, like if this would have happened to me 2 years ago and it spent 50 grand, I would have been like, holy, I would
Yeah,
have
you're like,
written you a
"Oh,
better
boy."
story, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. So it kind of depends on like where you're at in your situation. Obviously, the more money you have in the bank, the less risk there is when
Of
stuff
course.
happens like that, right? Because you can
Mm-hmm.
float. It's no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So back to two-factor authentication, I would use the app, because if you get big enough and like if you get well known, like your plumbing company is well known that you're a big plumbing company, and
Mm-hmm.
somebody knows you spend a lot of money on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
and they could easily hack into your system, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can actually, like, people actually get an in with the telephone company. So
Oh
like
wow.
they'll find out who your carrier is.
Mm-hmm.
They'll find somebody that works for that carrier, and they'll get access to your phone number to be able
Oh
to
wow.
forward text messages and calls to their
Mm-hmm.
phone. So if you have two-factor authentication on,
It's gonna text them the code.
it's going to text them the code. They're going to switch it back to you, and they're going to get into your Facebook, right?
Yeah, gotcha. Wow.
But if you've got an authenticator app, that cannot be replicated because it's actually an app on your phone. It's tied to your phone, not your phone
Yeah.
number.
Yeah,
So,
it's a physical. It's much more of a physical thing in your hand. That's the code that you get.
yeah, that's what I would do.
Yeah, gotcha.
If you're spending more than $5,000 a month on Facebook, I would have an authenticator app on your phone. And I
I
would
mean,
make
I'd probably
sure
just
that,
get an authenticator app anyway. Like, why take the chance?
yeah, why
Just
not?
snag an app.
Yeah, and I would make sure
That's
that any company that you work with, that everybody who has access to an account that has your credit card tied to it uses an
Mhm.
authenticator app as well.
That's a good point.
Yep.
Don't just leave it like, oh, well, they'll be responsible with it. Because I mean, they'll be responsible with it, but they might not know or have this level of experience. So
Right.
it's good to have that checklist. Like when you have the marketing company and you're having the conversation, like, hey, do you guys use two-factor authentication? And like, how? What do you use?
Yep.
I just know the story of this guy who lost all this money. I don't want to lose all this money.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, definitely for us at Plum Social, we have two-factor.
Oh yeah, totally.
Because we're just aware. So, I get a code to my phone if I got to get in or whatever, if I notice a different sign in.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Man.
Dude,
Technology, right?
What have you been up to?
Man, same old, just working. We're moving, so we're packing a lot of boxes, which is cool.
Nice.
Well, mostly my wife is packing a lot of boxes. I threw out my back last week, so I've just been sort of not doing much. Saw the chiropractor, so it's getting better. I had to stop working out. That was lame. But yeah, just been busy working, talking to plumbers and talking to you and talking to Costin. It's been good though. We're excited. We're excited to move for sure.
Good.
That's gonna be a long drive. I think I'm gonna film on the way down, make a bunch of content.
Yeah. Cool.
Because that'll be a long drive. Might as well, right?
Yeah. Dude, here in a few weeks, we'll be doing in-house podcasts. It'll be rad.
I know, it will be rad. Who's going to run the switchboard? Brooklyn? Christelle?
Somebody. We'll hire somebody. We'll get somebody to run it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. The neighbor lawn guy? Huh?
Yeah.
Just get Alex to do it. He's not going to be doing anything.
Guy, can you come do our switchboard, please?
Yeah. What are you talking about? Like, oh, no, I'll pay you $50. It's good. It's a good deal. It's a good deal.
Yep.
Super easy.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't thought about that. I haven't thought about the whole thing at all. How that's going to work.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Man, what have you been up to? What's new with you?
I have been working on a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff has changed in the last couple of weeks, as you know.
That is true.
Yeah. So I've been working on our course and our coaching program. That's probably going to be launched by the time this comes out. Pretty excited about that. It should be pretty cool. The course, I'm super excited about the course because like I've been laying it out and putting the information together, and there's just a lot of information that you can bring to the table. And it's like, man, when I start getting into it, it's like, oh wait, what about this? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. You just keep going.
You
You
need to
keep
know this
going to
thing,
different
right?
ideas. Yeah.
You know how to do this. They need to know how to think about this. So that'll be super cool. And then the coaching is going to be super cool. We'll probably put a link in this podcast down below so that if anybody wants to sign up, they can. But what it's going to be is we're going to structure it a little bit differently. We're going to do, group coaching. So you sign up, you get access to our course, all the course materials, all the past coaching calls. And then we're going to hold 2 coaching calls a week for 1 hour. You're going to be able to hop on those calls. And we'll go over a portion of what we need to cover for probably 30 minutes, and then we'll take Q&A. So you're going to have And so that's going to be cool because it's going to be, 8 coaching calls a month on a typical
Yeah.
4-week month. So be
Yeah,
able to
that's
get
awesome.
in and get your questions answered quickly. Like if you have a problem on Monday, you can hop in on Tuesday, get your question answered.
Mhm,
Problem
mhm.
on Friday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you got a problem, hop in on Thursday, get your question
Yep,
answered. Like
yep.
get it moving real quick. It'll be pretty cool. And I've been a part of a
Yeah.
lot of group coaching calls as well.
Mhm.
And my favorite part about it is that if somebody else has a question and asks, I usually learn something because I usually
Oh,
haven't.
yeah, 100%.
There's usually a question that gets asked that I don't even think to ask, right?
Mhm,
I don't even
mhm,
think about for that matter.
mhm.
So that'd be pretty cool. Yeah.
And what's cool in, like, my group coaching experience with which is a lot as well, is somebody might have a question and then the coach can answer it, but then students can chime in and then they can be
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, no, like check this out. This is how I solve that problem,
Yeah.
same type of deal. And you get two people riffing on it. And then
Mhm.
suddenly there's a relationship that can be formed
Yep.
that is even outside the coach. Like the coach
Yep.
is still there in the mentor position, but then there's these other people who are at different stages and there can be a momentum. And I think there's more levels of accountability because, you can dodge the coach. Like the
Yep.
coach can tell you to do stuff and you can dodge him.
Yep.
But if you start to make connections, now I got to dodge three other people. And if
Yep.
like if these are good friends, like the friends that we want us to push us and we want to push other people, they're not going to let you skate by. Like
Yeah.
they're going to be like, dude, like you're in this program, like why didn't you do the thing? Why had this idea?
Yep.
Like I told you, like that's not an issue and you know it isn't. And so yeah, I think that sounds cool. Like that
Yeah.
sounds like that's a
And the
lot
other
of coaching and then the group atmosphere is fun.
Yeah. The other cool part, like one of my favorite parts, especially for like a plumbing business is, the business is a little bit different for each area. And so
Mm-hmm,
if you can
mm-hmm.
have somebody that's close to your area in the same program, man, you guys can really help each other out because you can be
Sure.
like, "Hey, man, I tried this thing. I'm really close to you. We've got the same kind of problem. Here's how we solved it."
Dude, 100%.
Right?
Like, think about pricing where, like, you're in the same
Mhm.
area and one guy is like, "I could never charge enough." And the other guy's like, "Dude, I charge enough." Or
Yeah.
like, "I've gotten closer and
Yeah.
we're in the same area."
I've been
And
charging
then
more than what you think you need to charge or right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe speak to that just for a second because I know there's always, like, this pushback of, like, "Yeah, but, like, we're in the same area. Like, we're competing." Like, so
Yeah.
how would that actually work? Would that work?
I think that really matters, on your market size. So
Mm,
like me, I'm in Fairbanks, Alaska. It's a pretty small
mhm,
market, right?
mhm,
And we've been able to go in and just kind of dominate because we had better branding, better advertising, better systems, better processes.
mhm.
We're just better overall. So we've been able to go in and dominate. And now if somebody were to come in and try and do the same thing, um, it's such a small market that number one, they'd have a really hard time.
Mhm,
Like they would only get customers when we slip up. Then they
mhm,
might get a new one, right? If they were
mhm.
going to do the exact same thing we're doing. Um, and so I think it depends on market size. But I think
Sure.
like most of the places I've been in the United States,
Mhm,
I've gone to, I've looked at the plumbing businesses that are there. I have looked at the populations that are there. And I'm like, there's so much room in this market for a plumbing company to come in, right? So
sure.
like my market, we got like 30,000 homes.
Mhm,
Um, and we do 5 million a year in revenue.
mhm,
That's a tiny market. Like there's so many more markets available in the United States. And usually in
mhm.
those tiny markets, there's not a plumbing company that's doing really well.
Sure,
That's the thing.
sure.
And the cool part about being down in the States is like if you're in that market, well then just go to a different market.
Sure.
Yeah. I would like if I could do it all over again, I would go to a different market.
Yeah, because then you wouldn't
Knowing
because then your growth isn't capped.
Yeah, knowing what I know now, I would say, okay, I should go to a different market. Like I would have
Yeah.
moved to Anchorage. It's 300 miles away, 350 miles away, and I
Mhm,
would have started my business in Anchorage.
mhm.
And so because then I wouldn't have been capped. I would have been
Right.
capped at a much larger size, right?
Yes.
And I would have been so when I want to go exit, I would have made
Mhm.
way more money exiting because
Mhm.
it's in a better location, and it would have
Mhm.
been bigger. Even if I
Mhm.
sold it the same size that it is now, I still would have made more money because there's more
The potential.
potential,
Yeah.
right? And so
Mhm.
when an investor's coming to buy you, they usually come in and they wanna buy you at a point where there's
Mm.
still room for growth. Because
Sure.
if you think about it, like from their point of view, like if they're gonna buy a $5 million plumbing company, and let's say they give you let's say that company's making $1 million and they give you a 6 times multiple, right? So you make
Mhm.
$6 million on the sale.
Mhm.
Well, for them, if that company's only making $1 million a year, it's gonna take 6 years to pay that off.
Mhm.
But if they could dump 500,000 into that company and grow it into a $10 million a year company,
Mhm.
and it's making, 2.5 million,
Mhm.
now it's only a 2 or 3 year payoff, right?
Yep.
So it makes sense for them. And now they've just taken a ton of risk out of it because they can always go
Sure.
sell that thing
Mhm.
now for, if it's making 2 million a year and they sell it again for a 6 times multiple, they can go sell it for 12,
Mhm.
right? And they only bought it for
Mhm.
6. So now it's fairly risk free for them. But
Right.
if you're capped, if your market is capped
Yeah.
and they buy you and there's no room for growth, it's way more risky because they have
Yep.
to assume they can maintain that, right?
Mhm.
And usually the people that are going in and buying, they're not maintaining businesses. They're going in and strategically buying at this level, growing to this level. And they're
Right.
doing that like 3 or 4 different times with 3 or 4 different companies. And then they're lumping them all together under one umbrella company and then
Mhm.
selling all 4 at once.
Mhm.
So they'll take a company that they bought for 6 million that
Mhm.
alone is worth 12, grow it,
Right. Mhm.
match it with 4 different companies. Rather than being worth 44, it's now worth like 60, 70,
Mhm.
80 million, right? Just by
Sure.
lumping all
Sure.
those into one.
Mhm.
And so I would think about my market when I'm going to start up a plumbing business.
Yeah.
Depending on what you want to do. Like if
Sure.
you if and I've been thinking about this a lot actually, and I think I told you, if when you're doing stuff in life and in business, you got to do what's right for you.
Mhm.
What makes the most sense for you, right?
Mhm.
So if you want to stay in your market, well then by all means start a plumbing company. If
Sure.
you if you want to, manage your plumbing company for the next 20 years, 30 years, then by all means start one there and grow it to the size that you want to manage it and manage it for 20 or 30 years. I mean,
Mhm.
you don't have to sell it. You don't have to think about market cap. You don't have to think about that stuff. But
Mhm.
I think you need to think about what's best for you and what you want. And I think a lot of people don't think about market cap,
Right. Right.
and it might not matter to you. But if it
Right.
does, then you should move. You should move to a better market.
And I would even say that if you're not concerned about market cap, like if you want to have a smaller size company just locally, you still should run it an optimal way because it's just going to be easier for you and it's going to be a better service for your market.
Oh yeah,
And not
totally.
even with the intention of like, because you have an out, because you can sell it, because it's something of extreme value, but
Yeah.
just because it's going to, at the end of the day, you're going to feel better about it. Everybody's going to get served better. If you keep it in the in the family and you pass it on to the next plumber in the family, then you're
Yep.
giving them something that they can really, they don't have to put a whole bunch of work in to
Right.
maintain.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
at the end of the day, it's still useful to do it the right way. It's
Oh yeah.
never makes sense to do it like undercharge and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't make sense.
Like, yeah, when you're in a small market, if you try to run your business wrong, it's just gonna be really hard. Doesn't matter what
Yeah,
market
it's
you're
super
in,
hard.
right?
There's really little forgiveness for it. Like if you can be successful in a small market, I think that speaks a lot to your systems and really the quality of
Mhm.
work
Yeah.
because you've said I can gather the loyalty of small people. There's no like, oh yeah, we just went down to this town. There's like
Mhm.
100,000, 340,000 people there. It's easy peasy. It's like you really have to know your stuff to do well in a small market.
Yeah, you do. Definitely. And you're not gonna be able to dominate if you don't run your business well. And the
No,
and the thing about a small market is you have to dominate.
sure. Yeah,
Like,
because
you have
otherwise you're not, yeah, otherwise you're not gonna pull in enough revenue to will do really well, right?
Yeah. You'll get stuck at those lower revenue numbers,
Mm,
which again, to each their own. If that makes sense for you, if that's what you want, then cool. But even at those lower revenue numbers, it'd be way easier to run your business in a legit way, right? It's just way
yeah.
less headache. You can take care of, not only your customer better, but you can take care of your guys. You can take care of
Mhm,
yourself. You can take care of your
mhm,
family. When your Facebook account gets hacked, it's not as big of a deal. Those kinds of
mhm,
things.
mhm.
Whereas, like on the flip side, and I know we talk about this a lot, but if you're not running your plumbing company in an optimal way, then all those things get harder. Facebook account gets
Mhm.
hacked. All of a sudden, you don't have the
You're
money in
screwed.
your bank account, right? You're
Mhm,
screwed. You're having a rough go. You know, you can't afford to pay your guys super well. So now you're not attracting the talent. And if you're in a smaller
yep.
market, the talent is really hard to come by. So
Mhm,
you've got to get the guys that are there to come to work for you.
mhm, mhm,
Um,
mhm.
all of a sudden, when something happens at a customer's house, right? You don't have the money in the bank account to kind of go, oh yeah, we screwed that up. Let's go in and fix it.
Right,
And let's just not fix it kind of. Let's go fix it better than it was before we
right.
messed it up, right?
Sure.
You don't
Yep.
have those luxuries if you're not running a plumbing business in a profitable way. So,
Yeah. Mm,
like hands down, it just makes sense. No matter what situation you're in.
mhm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, sounds like, I mean, I'm excited for the course. I think group coaching is gonna be, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun, but I think it's just gonna be really helpful.
Dude, I
And
think so
so
too.
no matter where you're at in your plumbing business journey, it'll
Yep.
just be helpful. And like really I want to come back to the idea that like having people who you can see their circumstances, I think is
Mhm.
so helpful. Because then you
Yeah.
can also see where you can be, right?
Yep.
So if you're like at 2 trucks and you're in the same coaching call with somebody who's at 6 or 7 trucks, you
Mhm.
can be like, "Oh, that guy's doing it and he's doing this." And
Mhm.
that's what he's experiencing. And then you
Mhm.
can like consider you can be like, one, you can go, that looks awesome, or you can go like, that looks like it sucks. Maybe I actually don't want to get to that. Maybe I'm more comfortable at
Yeah.
this level because I'm looking at that guy and his problems are not what I want to experience.
Or you can look at his problems and go, "Oh, those are the problems that he's having because he didn't set this up right,
Mm,
or
yeah.
he didn't think about this right. I cannot
Yep.
have those problems now because
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go in and set it up this other way, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna set it up the way that Jared recommends in his course,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, I think it's super valuable. I think it'll be super fun. It'll be super cool just to be able to, like, share everything and help people out, and I haven't told you this, but one thing I wanna just keep in mind when we're building this coaching program is I never want it to be about anything except for the plumbers. Helping plumbers run a legit business that can make money and operate without them. That is my
Right.
ultimate goal.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't ever want it to get anything but that.
Mm-hmm.
Always about the person that is using the service, right? That is
Sure.
the ultimate goal. That is
Mm-hmm.
that is our mission statement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hands down.
I mean, it's the same mission statement that a plumbing company would have, except the customer is different.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
the customer ultimately is the most important asset.
Yeah. Yep.
Got
For
to take
sure.
care of the customer.
Gots to, man.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, I'm excited.
Yeah, it'll be super cool.
Yeah.
If you guys wanna join, if you feel like you need coaching, there will be a link down below. Probably take you to a website where you can watch a short video, maybe fill out a form, book a call with our team, and then see what we can do.
Cool. Thanks, Jared. Well, I'll see you
Yeah.
next time.
See you, dude.